first time since.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been forever since we've had back-to-back champs. So hey, it's a new era. It's a new dynasty. We could say that now officially, right? According to the rules and the terms, it's a new dynasty. It's KC. It's Colonel Cheeseburger and Sergeant Mahomes.
Definitely. We are definitely going to talk about that word that you just said, dynasty, at the end of the show here. We definitely want to bring that up. I know it's way too early, but we got to talk about that at the end of the show here, Phil. But hey, you're right. Congratulations to a team out there, Kansas City Chiefs, who go from road warriors to top of the mountain once again, back to back. And man, I tell you, Phil, this was one. A lot of people said in the beginning of this game, Bill, Bill, on Facebook, Twitter, wherever avenue you're out there for social media, this game is boring. Bill, I tell you what, brother, they don't enjoy football, because this game, to me, man, I tell you what, I'd rather see a game like this than a blowout any damn day of my life. I tell you what. What's your thoughts?
This is let me contain my laughter as I just stop cavorting and come on. That was one of the best Super Bowls in the last how long? I can't honestly. It was so competitive.
Yeah.
If you can now, after the fact, as we do, we would have no audience if people didn't sit back and nitpick after the fact, right? What the hell would we do? But
the money man quarterback, isn't it? Is that what we call him?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we could do that all we want, but when it comes down to it, that went to overtime, and it came down to a 4th down stop on one end and a 4th and 1 at the 45 on the other. You know what I mean? In overtime. That's what that game came down to. So we could go back and have our scapegoats, which we'll talk about. We go back and talk about who had the right scheme, who didn't. Talk about who knew the rules, who didn't. Just a quick breakdown of what we'll talk about tonight, of course, because that's what we do. But top to bottom, left to front, halftime show included, because I'm a freaking Gen Xer and Usher is my guy. I might be white, but I'm black in the soul, and Usher is my spirit animal. So it was everything about it was perfect for me, honestly.
I agree, man, 100%, top to bottom.
Except for the Cowboys or the Bucks not winning it. Other than that, and personally, I'm a Tay fan. I've said it before on the show. I had no problem with Tay being there. I don't think they showed her too much. I think they showed her just enough. And the one thing that you didn't talk about a little bit before the show that I want to talk about, though, is super aggro boyfriend. I want to talk about that a little bit as coaches, right? As coaches, what your response is. So
sounds good.
All right, host, I'll let you get into it.
Well, how about we talked about the overtime. We talked about that. That's definitely going to be a topic there. The coin toss. I don't know the rules, as you said. Let's talk about that. But Phil, let's talk about this game. First quarter, second quarter. Let's talk about this game. No offense, straight defense. We know what Kansas City's back end is. We know Chris Jones up front is nasty. We know this Niners defense from top to bottom, is nasty. It's front seven, arguably probably the best in the NFL. Assuming Baltimore, of course, they're pretty much equal. But defensive battle, man. Scheme wise, what did you see in the first half? Because Spags had a game plan, just like you said. It's not about having individual players from top to bottom roster here. It's about putting your players in a scheme to utilize to stop. Because CMC had an okay first half, but they kept him at 2.1 yards in the first half here. Key on your best players, and they took away Debo. They took away Kittle. They took away Ayuk. What did you see?
To me, for the first time all season, I saw a less than confident Brock Purdy.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I really saw. The story of the first half to me was a guy unwilling to use his feet early on, or really at all in that game. Right? He had opportunities, multiple opportunities to go and use his legs and affect that game early on and make Spags change his game plan.
Yeah.
And he didn't take it. And he had all season made those plays. He had used his legs when he needed to. And instead of being coached up a little bit right there, so it came down to coaching. To me, that's coaching in the moment. You have to be on the sideline. I know these are men, and I know they get paid a lot of money. I mean, not him. But I know that the rest of you paid a lot of money. And he gets paid a lot of money for me, right? But I know they're men and they get paid. But you got to be able to take them over there and coach them up in the moment. Or what are you getting paid for, right? You're not just getting paid to play call freaking plays, right? You're not. You're getting paid to and know the rules. I thought you got paid to know the rules. But you're not getting paid to just stand there and like call plays and be like, oh, well, they're men. Don't freak. No, you got to go. This is the freaking Super Bowl, man. You already crapped the bed once before, man.
Yeah.
Right? You have a reputation. There's a number that follows you, right? A comedic number that will go down in the annals of meme history. And you had a chance to go coach your young quarterback up and be like, hey, I'm the guru. I'm the offensive guru. Look, man, you got to take these opportunities early. We're not going to call the play necessarily as a run play, but when you see it, put your foot in the fucking ground and go get 6 or 7 yards real quick.
Yeah.
Make yourself a threat, because that's what you've been all season. And as soon as he started being less than confident and couldn't quite get the ball because of some pressure or because of good scheming and get into a rhythm, Spags' defense feasted all night.
Phil, you couldn't set it any better, man. We've seen the first 2 games of the playoffs here where Purdy puts his leg down and puts his foot down, moves the sticks here. We always use that term, move the sticks here, play another down, move them. We didn't see that. 3 carries this week for 12 yards total. He's been averaging 35 yards a game in the playoff system here and 24 yards for the entire season here. It's got to be coaching. We
one of my locks. Yeah, one of my locks would have been him going over 35. That would have been a lock.
Exactly. I mean, you coin it there. You say, Patrick Mahomes on the opposite side here, 4th and 1, which we'll definitely talk about there. That play call right there was perfect because you take away the number and option, Pacheco in the backfield. He had 8 guys in the box at that point. Kelsey's on the flat route. You're going to take him and run a dig outside behind the linebackers. That defensive end says, you know what? Do I commit or do I go with the drag route on the opposite side here? Mahomes is just that type of guy saying, well, shit, you know what? I'm not going to take the ball. I'm not going to throw it. There's 20 yards right there. All I need is 1 yard. I'm just going to get the 1 yard. Purdy, and you know what? I tell you what, Shanahan kind of pissed me off with this coaching, just like Eddie said with the coaching there. You got to know time of possession of the game. You got to know that timing of the game is what do I need? 1 yard, 2 yards, move the sticks, how it comes down to it. He didn't put his players in position, but I give so much credit to that Chiefs defense because they showed me a different Purdy in game situation of what they showed him in looks, multiple assignment looks in different formations.
Right. But again, like they did, but again, a couple of runs by him, a couple of dynamic plays by him changes everything. Suddenly Spags is going back to a little bit more vanilla of a defense. Maybe he is now has to commit a little bit more to the middle and bring an extra linebacker there, or you know what I mean? Like it changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if it doesn't, then you keep doing it until you make him change, right? And if not, then it's going to cost him. But a guy like Spags is going to adjust somehow. And then if you're an offensive guru, that's what you want him to do. You want to get the other person. And I mean, if you're defense or offense, right? Mm-hmm. The whole point is to get the other person out of their game plan.
100%. I mean, you look at, first quarter to second quarter to third and fourth here, Travis Kelce was nowhere to be found in the first 4 quarters until the last drive, basically. Had 5 catches the entire game. You know what? You took away him. But you know what? Andy Reid's that guy, that genius guy who has that, multiple playbook here from 12 years and beyond saying, well, you know what? We really didn't get Kelce to the second level here. We didn't get him here. Let's run him on a drag. Let's go Miko inside. Let's run here or there. It opened up so much where, just like you said, coaching, they took it to another level there. Okay, you stopped us here, but let me flip the page real quick and go to next level football here. Assignment football, zone football, gap control, secondary levels, mid-range. That's what they did. And the Niners didn't do that. I understand going there and as a game plan, bleeding the well to the well is dry. Yeah. They should have done that with CMC. They abandoned him the second half here, especially that fourth drive where they could have put the game away. Why do you give Patrick Mahomes a minute and 50 seconds left on the clock by throwing the ball constantly?
Snapping the ball with 17 seconds on the play clock.
Drain the clock.
During that drive. I just wanted to point that out. 17 seconds on a play clock during that. Right. Okay, well, let's go back to the second quarter, though. We talk about schemes. Nitpicking, 3rd and 4 on the goal line, right?
Yeah.
In the red zone, and it's the end of the quarter or end of the half. And they had nothing. Who in the world that's ever seen Spags coach a defense didn't know pressure was coming on 3rd and 4? You've got CMC, you've got Ayuk, you've got Debo. trip screen, bro. Trip screen wherever they opposite side or you know what I'm saying? Like either way, where they're coming, they won't be, or where they're coming, they can't have more on the other side. So you know what I mean? Like, and guess what? It happened twice. It happened in the fourth quarter. Almost the exact same situation. Came in with 3 points instead of 7 points both times.
That's great that you said that. I mean, to me,
who's prepared and who's not?
Yeah,
that's when it came down to the Chiefs, and it was 3rd and 4. Yeah, it was 3rd and 6 on those 2 key drives that ended up in tutties.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the offensive guru?
That's a great thing you said right there. You know, in the goal line in that situation, to me, Phil, I'm a type player inside the 10-yard line. That's 7 points must have, no matter what you look at it. And to me, I'm spraying the field. And my favorite thing is you get called for it a lot of times, Phil, but I run a lot of pick routes, brother. When I know you're coming, I run pick routes, number one. I run hot slants, drag routes right across the end zone at the yard line marker. 3rd and 4 in the 5-yard line. That to me is a touchdown. Easy.
Inside the 5, you can't run a pick because you have 5 yards of contact allowed from the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
So if you make contact between the line of scrimmage and the goal line, they can't. It happened in the playoff in the like the week before. So when they tried to call something for, I'm like, nope, it was in the Bucs game against the Lions. Like, I mean, so
I just don't get it. I don't get it. Play calling number one.
That, and then that's the offensive side of the ball, right? Then we get to the defensive side of the ball for the Niners. And yes, they did a good job early on by letting their talent go win, which they've done most of the season. But as soon as Greenlaw went down, Wilkes didn't have a game plan.
Yeah.
And yes, that's a tremendous talent. 3 players don't replace that one guy. I get it. He could probably be a candidate DPOY if it wasn't for the players around him, and maybe he's a little bit shielded from that. But that being said, you have to have a scheme. You have to have a game plan. You have to have something. And after that, they got exploited straight up.
It's funny how you said that, Phil. It's funny how you said that. They attacked that zone right after Warner went down.
Yes. Well, and they went to zone on top of it. Not only did they attack that zone, they went to zone. And and Tony said, he's like, why? Why are you 7 yards off the ball right now?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Why? Multiple times. And then Shanahan had to call a freaking timeout for the defense because they already gave up a 3rd and 6. It's 3rd and 4, and they're 7 yards off. Shanahan had to go be like, what are you doing, bro? I mean, everyone's like, he's a sacrificial lamb, but is he? Because he didn't have a game plan.
Yeah.
He was just letting, best beat best, like I said, going into the game last week, and then he didn't, I don't know. He didn't, when the chips were against the wall, instead of looking across the field and being, hey, let's bring pressure, maybe let's at least force Patrick Mahomes to make a play instead of just giving them 6 yards.
I agree 100%. Phil, I'm old school, and I always say on every show we have to get that out of 4 times 3 is 12 yards. Of course, I always say that. But the other thing is, I'm old school, and I coach offense, and I've coached defense many years. But to every defensive player out there, my corners especially, I have 3 words for them: jam, jam, jam. Why do you play 6 to 7 yards on the ball when the play is 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4? That's just, a quick dime route right there. Boom, move the sticks. I got my 4 yards. That's all I want. If I get a little yak after it, that's totally fine. But coaching, man, I give so much credit to Spags out there. Congratulations on his contract. Got his extension today. Well deserved, because, man, I tell you what, going into a game when you have, I don't want to say less talent, Phil, but yes, it is less talent on this defense side of the ball. You came in with a game plan. 11 guys, top to bottom, as a unit. 11 hats, 1 ball. That's what they played. Credit to Spags' defense, man.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it was masterful. It truly was. And I mean, the problem is that Shanahan played right into it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If it wasn't for a totally legit defensive holding, if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't even gone to overtime.
Agreed.
He got a second chance at life. I freaking was right on the socials, and I was like, well, there goes Shanahan, completely being Shanahan, ignoring CMC, going 3 and out. He didn't touch the ball once on that 3 and out. Luckily, defensive holding. Guess who touched the ball every play after that? CMC and of course, they petered out. They went for it earlier and got the touchdown. They don't go for it there, which again, I don't understand the consistency. When you're in the overtime, you know what I mean?
Like, I don't get it. Yeah, 100%.
Like you go for it once to get the touchdown, and then you have other opportunities and you don't. Anyways, like that's my problem. Like I don't want to sit here and nitpick the guy, but you think he's smarter, you think he's seen it more, and you think that he looks scared. He looked like a deer in headlights to me all that entire game on the sideline.
He did 100%. Couple comments. Eddie says there was a good reason why Steve Wilkes was fired in Arizona. Also, he said Spags and Reed won that Super Bowl. No, I highly agree with that. I mean, they put him in positions where we always talk about adjustments, of course, first half, second half. And this one, I want to say first half to fourth quarter overtime is what I would like to say. They won it. And more credit to me goes to Spags, how he can shut down that unit that the Niners had. I mean, weapons top to bottom, of course, make Brock Purdy feel, as you said, look like a deer in headlights. You show him different multiple looks, something he hasn't seen on paper. And maybe you've seen it 1 week in week 1, but you haven't seen it from week 2 to 17. We're going to show you that look again because we know you forgot it. That goes to show me what they did. But that defense, speaking of Spags there, let's look at these numbers. McCaffrey, 22 carries for 80 yards. Purdy, 3 for 12, 110 total on the ground. But here's the biggest thing, Phil, how I see this. McCaffrey is your leading pass receiver, 80 yards. Ayuk, 49. Jennings, 42. Debo, 33. Here's the big one. George Kittle, 2 catches, 4 yards, Phil. Big.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I could excuse that if he was in there and they weren't getting pressure on Purdy and he had all day and everyone else was feasting. Kittle's doing his job in the way Kittle can do his job more than one way, right? Mm-hmm. But when that offense is anemic and they're still getting pressure, and he was banged up, he left the field, came back. We don't know really what happened, but yeah, I just don't. I don't understand how in that moment you don't find a way to get that man the ball in space. Spags is an amazing coordinator. But there's no way if you put all 6 of those weapons out there that you can't, or 5 of those weapons out there that you can't figure out a way to get the ball in one of their hands in space.
Yeah, I was screaming.
You are supposedly Shanahan. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. We're not talking about the regular OC who's just kind of like got great players and they kind of carried on. Blah, blah. No, man, we're talking about the guy who's supposed to be the toast of the town as far as OCs in the NFL right now, aside from the guy on the other side of the sideline. And, if it wasn't for the amazing talent on that defensive side of the ball for the Niners, this game would not have been this close.
Yeah, that's great that you said that, talking about that one there. I go to 2 names there. Shanahan, to me, I love watching Shanahan as a executor of formations is what I like to see. I call him the formation guy. A lot of window dressing, puts players in different positions and multiple looks. Whereas a defense coordinator, oh, shit, who's getting the ball? I've seen this look. Oh, it's going to Debo. It's going here. It's going there. It's a screen. Different looks. You go down to Miami. Daniels, same way. Master of the motion. It's a play calling genius to me, but the execution once the play is snapped is a little bit different to me. What I've seen from Shanahan during the Super Bowl is I think I never want to say it got too big for his head. He's been there 3 times. Third time's got to be a charm. I don't ever want to say that to him. But what you said, give the ball to your best player. Where was the screen game? Where was the bubble screens? Spags is bringing that pressure off the sides there. They're bringing. What is the best thing to do? A blitz beater, a screen, a jet pass, a slant, a rub. Where in the hell was it? It was there at times because McCaffrey, 8 catches. He got him in space a couple times, but you abandoned it, Phil. You abandoned it totally from 180 to an opposite side of play calling.
It's the consistency. It's not. I don't want to say necessarily abandon words, right? Because he got me 22 carries for CMC.
True.
With all the playmakers they have on that team, for him to still carry the ball 22 times, that's solid. I'm cool with that. But it's the consistency of when he touches the ball.
Great point.
It's how you get the other players involved. If he's the only one that's run 22 times, and then also your leading receiver, well, it's not that he got overused. It's just that you didn't figure out ways to use him more as maybe, a Trojan horse to get other guys available, right? Like if you're like, yeah, that's where I go back to. Like you said, it's all window. You're moving guys around. You're doing all the right things. So to me, what it comes down to is you not having confidence in yourself, and then not having the confidence in yourself. So then you can't go coach up your quarterback to be confident in that moment, right?
That's a great point.
I don't know. What else do you see in that? What do you see there?
We went into this game talking about, of course, your best player is CMC. We know that with the Niners, everything runs through him. When Debo's out, it shows a little bit, but when CMC's out, it's a different offense. Of course, we know that. We talked about a decoy. To me, in that second half, I'm thinking like, okay, they're not really using CMC like they should be using him here to win a Super Bowl, go out and win this game, put it on his back and say, ride my back. I don't care if my back hurts after this game. Give me the ball. I'm going to find a way to win. We've seen him do it. But I'm thinking like that word decoy. Wow, I'm seeing Andy Reid. I go back to Andy Reid, that fourth quarter, that last drive. Put the game on the back of two people, Kelsey and Mahomes. Put it on their backs. They did what they had to do. Find a way to get him the ball in open space, number one. They didn't do that to CMC. And I'm thinking, like, why are we not utilizing him in certain plays? Phil, I'm the type guy. I know a CMC, if I got him on my backfield, that defense is 8 in the box. I got receivers out there. You know what? Hey, CMC, I'm calling an audible. They're biting on you. I'm getting open space to Ayuk, Jennings, Debo, open space. Let me beat you one-on-one. Where they pinned their ears back and they had a safety over the top. I seen a lot of times Debo was just bumped off his route right away off the line of scrimmage. That takes away, number one, when you got pressure on that quarterback, that's 1 second already gone right there to run your route. And I seen that on Kittle too, where he was Bolton knocked him on his ass a couple times. Like, you ain't going to run this route because you know what? Your boy Brock Purdy back there, Mr. Deer in Headlights, is not going to have 3 to 4 seconds to get this ball out. We're taking away what we need to do and letting that rookie quarterback, not a rookie, but I still call him a rookie, to beat him, find a way to beat him with his arm. It didn't show up.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the health, maybe, right, of those two guys you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Both banged up. Both were coming kind of on and off the field, right? Sure. Both of them left to the point where we weren't sure if they were going to come back in that game. So that might be a little bit of that. But even still, they're on the field. They're getting their coverage. You're still getting some of their best guys on those guys. I feel like we're just scheming. But like, we could sit down and break it down. But it's going to be the same thing every time, right? We talked about it for the last 5 or 6 weeks that we've been doing this together now. Getting the best players the ball in open space. The thing about the Niners is that, yes, you got to go through CMC, but you have 5 other players that if you get the ball to them in space are going to make people miss, right? And then that's the other thing about that was we were talking earlier about the defensive players playing off. Not only are you giving 5 or 6 yards right away, now you're creating an opportunity for a missed tackle because you're having to come back to the play and your momentum is going the opposite way of the player coming at you. And one-on-one, like that's where all those tackles are missed, right? A breakdown, a juke, that's because you're coming opposite ways. If you're running at an angle, you're running with the player, it's much more easy to create the same leverage of contact and stop them as soon as the ball gets there or whatever else, right? That's where all those missed tackles always come from. So it just comes down to some of these principles that I saw. So is the fact that they cleaned house in San Francisco surprising? Not necessarily, because it took their talent of their team took them to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And then they clearly got outcoached.
Great point. We're going to talk about the coaching, who was let go this week. With 5 people got let go, of course, in the last 2 days for the Niners. But it goes back to with coaching. It reminds me of our days being a Cowboy fan. Jimmy Johnson. Well, we gave it to Barry Switzer. Hell, I could have won a Super Bowl with that team. The players make you what you are, name recognition, number one. But let's fast forward here to the fourth quarter here, the last drive of the game here. Niners go up. It all comes down to the Chiefs here. You go to your best player, Travis Kelce.
Well, okay, here's the thing, though. Before that, and this is what I want to bring up, and I want to but I think if we would go chronologically timeline, if it's me, what a really shitty situation you've already put me in, Travis Kelce, as a coach.
Oh, let's talk about
role
that.
Model,
let's talk about that.
And as a coach and a role model, should he have even been in the game to make those plays and have that impact. Because if
Wow.
I'm the coach,
Yeah.
I don't know if you get back in the game, brother. We already had the helmet incident. I've already had to call your ass out once. Patty Mahomes already had his fit over the freaking referees. We nipped that shit in the bud. You're supposed to be the leader on the biggest stage, and now you're going to come throw a fit. And as an adult, first and foremost, as one grown-ass man to another, invade my space that way, then cause physical contact in a way that almost knocks my old ass cheeseburger loving ass to the ground. And then on top of that, scream at me as if I am some object that you believe you have some power and dominion over.
Great point.
I'm your boss, bro. On top of all of what I just said, I'm your boss too. And we've already had this conversation. There had to have been some kind of internal discipline for that helmet situation, not just a, hey, we talked it over there, or at least maybe there wasn't. Maybe that's why he felt free. Maybe that's the one thing we could talk about this team that might have a chink in the armor, right? Is there an attitude problem in that locker room? Did they get lucky that the coaches on the other side of the sideline of the field weren't quite equipped to know the rules and to know, maybe where the situation was too big for those guys on the other sideline?
Sure.
Because I think that's what it comes down to, right? We talk about it. Like if those coaches were like 30% more prepared as a group on the other side of the sideline,
sure,
I think we're talking about a different winner.
Great. Well, let's recap what you said there.
What do you think, what do you know about Kelsey and what? Because to me, if you put me in a spot at that, I've got to bench you. I have to bench you. Right?
I agree with you. I agree with you, Phil, 100%. Let's talk about that. As a coach up here, I have 3 rules on my team. Number 1, okay. Of course, you never throw your helmet. That's just big. Sportsmanship is a big thing to me. Number 2, you never sit on the crown of your helmet. You take a knee, number 1, when you're on my field. And number 2, you never disrespect any coaching staff, any referee, or any fan of the game while we're playing the game. To me, that showed me something that I understand that there's a difference between passion and sportsmanship. But Phil, you opened my eyes to that because you know what? I had a situation I think it was week 3 or 4 when one of my best players came over to me and walked by me and gave me the finger behind my back because I wasn't utilizing him the right way to my ability where we were already up. Why not? I'm going to give the other players week to week. It's a different assignment football. I'm going to go to what wins the game. You might not get a carry. You might get 50 carries the next week. Who knows? So I seen him. Somebody told me that coaching staff. I walked over and I was like, what was the reason? I'm not being used, coach. I'm the best player. I was like, you know what? You're right. There's a best player sitting right over on the bench down there. Go take your seat the rest of the game. To me, you know what, Phil? That brings up a great question to me. If I'm in the game of my life here, championship game to go down to Pop Warner, down to Disney, my best player does that. Phil, you do that to me. I don't know what I would do, honestly. Would I say, you know what? I got to have Phil in the game here because he played that at the press conference, Phil. He just bumped me. I was already off balance. He said the right thing, Phil. He said the right thing. But in that situation, if you bump me, I don't know which way to lean, Phil, honestly. I know, truthfully, the right thing would have been, get your ass on the bench, Phil. You don't ever do that to me. We have billions of fans watching this game, role models as you are, kids that look up to you. But number 2, Phil, hey, Phil, get your ass in the game. I love the passion. I need you. We're gonna feed you the ball. I see that. What do you see? I see it both ways, Phil. Right and wrong to me.
If I didn't see an evolution, first and foremost, let's not forget that he had a reputation when he came into this league.
Sure.
As a hothead.
Oh yeah.
Picking up flags, throwing refs, getting suspended. There were people that thought he might play himself out of this league because of his attitude on the field.
He was lucky even to get in the league. He was even lucky to get in the league.
Yeah, there's a history of this guy thinking he's bigger than the game. All right. So now you've come to this season where maybe everything on the field isn't quite rainbows and puppy dogs. Meanwhile, you're suddenly becoming, the arm candy of the biggest freaking person on the planet.
Sure.
Simultaneously thinking, hey, I deserve more than what I'm getting. I deserve more. Why is my brother more popular right now for the tush push than I am for being a multiple time Super Bowl champion and dating the number one most famous person on the planet? Why?
Great point.
That's why it's all so happy. So then this helmet incident, we talked about what's the number one thing you don't do? Don't disrespect that helmet. Don't disrespect that helmet. You don't throw it down, and you're damn right. I'm the same way. You don't sit on that thing. It's not a seat. It's a hat, and it's got your logo on it, and you respect that shit, right? You don't. One thing that's gonna get me fired up, man, and lose my NSFW rating. It's disrespecting the coach and disrespecting the team, and then acting like you can still go out there and play the game. All right. I remember playing when my halfway through my first season of really playing like competitive football in the Panhandle of Florida. We had a kid that was just like probably the most talented kid in the league, and we had a coach who was old and didn't really give a crap, and he would just feed the ball to the most popular, most talented player. Unlike you, who had a scheme or tried to get more players involved, but he didn't care. He just gave him the ball. So on a certain part of it, as a team, we were winning, so we were happy. The other part of it is this dude Scoop didn't warm up, didn't do drills, didn't really practice, didn't show up to every practice, was out gangbanging, was out getting high, smoking weed, doing all these things that technically are even against the rule book, whatever. But coach didn't care. Coach would show up kind of halfway drunk or hungover anyways, right? That's kind of like a bad news, straight up like bad news bear vibe, but not. He didn't redeem us. What happened is the parents got fed up with this guy, got him ousted, and a couple of other parents stepped up. They had boys that played in high school. They weren't even on our team, and they came in and kicked him off our team, the best player, because he didn't show up and he stopped. And we were like torn. Because on one hand, thank you for treating him like just anybody else. But at the same time, well, now we're going to lose every game for the rest of the season. And we did. But next year, we made the finals of the playoffs, of the tri-state playoffs, because they instilled integrity. They instilled a certain mentality. They instilled a certain sense of responsibility and personal accountability to that team. And we became the best team from 1 year from the last to the second best team in our division. And we, made it to the finals of like 2 years in a row. So like, that's where I come from. That's the kind of coaching that I never had the worst coach. Like I said, I started, and even in baseball, I had a coach that my mom made me quit playing baseball for like 3 seasons because of a coach that didn't coach well and played favorites and didn't have integrity. So I was and I'm going to use the word that is sort of very negative. I was very triggered by that moment. And now as a person that's coaching my first year on the sideline, I'm coaching 8U. Yeah, they're kids, but like, that's my number one thing. You keep your hands to yourself. You stand there, you have respect, and you pay attention to your coaches. It's a yes, sir. It's a no, sir. When we're out here, and it's not about authority. It's about respect, and it's about knowing in the heat of the moment, whenever I'm the leader, there has to be one leader, right? There has to be one leader. That's why there's a head coach, and everyone else is an assistant coach, right?
You couldn't have said it any better, Phil. I'll tell you, coaching up here.
But again, and I'm sorry, I know I've gone on, but I know the other side of that. It's a business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, and he is dating a person that increased viewership by like 16%. The most viewed Super Bowl in the history of the Super Bowl is because she basically was in the stands. I agree. What do you do? Because it's a business at that point, but you still know there are people watching you and there are people seeing it, and you have to explain yourself, and you have to be able to sleep at night after you go and make that explanation after the game, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% what you said. Going back to coaching, I agree 100%. When I first took over the team 2 years ago, we were 3-8, for 3 years in a row before I was just watching on the sidelines. And I went over and I said, hey, can I coach? I'm not saying I'm the best guy out there for the job, but we have, as I told you before, we have about 50 kids to try out every year. We only take 33. And I remember my first year when I was named OC, the quarterback came up to me. His parents came up to me. I'm not going to say his name, of course. He was like, I'm the starting QB from the last 2 years. I'm 14. I'll be your special player this year. I'm like, well, to come out to practice. He's like, I'm the starter. I'm like, come out to practice. Let me see what you have. Well, I cut him. First week I cut him. Number one, he got pissed off. He was telling players he's the best. He could do this. Great kid. I'll tell you what, talent-wise. But guess what? You don't fit with my other 10 on offense. I'd rather have a kid that goes out there, gives me 150% every play, shows up to practice, first one there, last one to leave, ask the questions. Stupid questions are the best questions when you're a coach to hear, number one. So I give credit to that. And you're right. With Travis Kelce, you know what? All I can say is this. It's the NFL. It's all about ratings. Of course, you wanted it. I think the NFL would have fined Andy Reid if Andy said you're done, because they would have wanted him to play. I could see that, of course. But as a role model to my kids, I want to see the best sportsmanship on the field. There's a reason why in Little League you shake hands before and after a game, no matter what, win, lose, or draw. You know, hell, I got pissed off a couple of times, and I feel for the other teams. We put up 50 points. We beat you by 50 points. But I tell you what, if I ever hear one of my kids walk down that line, tell another kid or another member of this team, wow, look at the score. We dropped 50 on your ass. If I hear that, guess what? You got a 50-week suspension off my team, number one. But the other thing I want to talk about, Phil, is something that is really mind-blowing. I'm going to put you in a scenario real quick, Phil.
Right.
You're the Kansas City Chiefs head coach, Andy Reid, and you got that guy named Patrick Mahomes on your sideline, you know, and it's going to overtime here, Phil. I go out there and I tell my linebacker, hey, call tails. It never fails. We win the coin toss. I want the ball. I defer. Patrick Mahomes, what are you thinking at this point? I want the ball in overtime here, Phil.
So I'm going to tell you right now, I know there are new rules. At least I know.
Well, I don't know them yet, Phil. I didn't know them. I don't know what they are.
I didn't know who else knew the rules. Maybe some other people that should have known the rules didn't know the rules. I'm feeling very tongue-in-cheek, by the way. I'm not going to get into it. We talked a little bit. I got some really bad news yesterday, so I'm kind of, dealing with this. So I'm feeling a little tongue-in-cheek, a little cute tonight, but feeling myself a little bit. But maybe some people should have known the rules a little bit more. I feel a little Donovan McNabb up in here. That's all I'm saying. A little Donovan McNabb up in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I'm taking the ball. I'm taking the ball. I'm going down. I'm scoring 7, and I'm putting the pressure. And listen, here's the problem with the Niners. Go for it. Kicking that field goal and giving them the ball on the 25, maybe even possibly the 30 or whatever. No, you're giving him a cushion to be able to work from. Even if you sack him or whatever, okay, extra yardage. They already shown multiple times that, hey, 3rd and 12, 2nd and 16, whatever. We'll just do a couple of 6-yard crossing routes. They'll turn into 8 or 9 yards, and we'll be back on schedule, in 2 downs. No big deal. Okay. They showed it, right? You're down there, and it's, 4th and 3 or whatever. You're on the goal line. I'm going for it. If I'm the Niners. Because then you got Patty Mahomes in the end zone. At least he has to go 97 yards instead of 75 yards. At least. And then you give your defense a chance to make a play, because they're the ones that pretty much got your ass there anyways.
Okay.
I would take the ball. And if I was the Niners, I would have gone for it. Even in overtime, I would have gone for it. So
you win the coin toss, you want the ball first.
Mm-hmm.
I can see both sides of that. Up here, I would have deferred.
Oh, if you take a second, now you have 4 downs, blah, blah, blah. Man, whatever, dude. Listen, I want the ball. If I've got Patty Mahomes, that's the other thing. If I've got Patty Mahomes, I want the ball. You saw what he did. 75 yards like it was no big deal. No big deal.
Do you think that the Niners made the wrong decision to take the ball, though? You don't think so?
No.
See, I can see it both standpoints, because that defense was gassed coming off that last drive.
That's the other thing. That nobody wants to talk about, is that defense for the Niners was not ready to go back on the field at all. So you want to start talking about changing the rules to overtime. It's not hockey, man. Give those guys like a 10-minute break in between the coin flip, right? At the end of the time, at least. And then also, why is there a clock? There shouldn't be a game clock. Or as far as it should just be play clock. Kind of like college. It's possession for possession, right?
Well, no, it has to be a game clock, because the situation. If I score a field goal, you get the ball automatically. If you score a field goal, it does come down to I think it was a 10-minute Super Bowl clock. I think it was.
No, if that clock went to zeros, they would have just kept playing. When
Then it would have became sudden death rules.
They would have said another 15 minutes. It was just an arbitrary thing to put another quarter's worth of time on the clock.
Well, I know after if both teams would have
right, if they would have scored a field goal, the game would have just kept going.
Then it would have became sudden death rules.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then you don't need a game clock either, because then it's a possession for possession. So that's, I think, what led to some confusion, honestly, in the rules, is that there was clicking on, well, if they don't score by the time it clicks to zero, then the game's over. Well, no, they would have just put another 15 minutes on the clock, and Kansas City would have they would have flipped the end of the field, and Kansas City would have kept the drive on third and whatever it was. You know what I mean? Or for because they scored on third down, right? I
look at it differently. I would have deferred the ball. I would have deferred the ball, and I want my offense on the field second. To me, I think you just gave Andy Reid a loaded playbook. They're going to kick the ball on a touchback at the 25-yard line. If that's me, Phil, as I look at it as an offensive guy, and I go over to Harrison Butker and say, hey, where do you feel comfortable with on the ball to kick a field goal, worst scenario? Coach, I'm good from the 35 in. So I know going back to that word, Phil, we use 4 times 3. 25 down to the 35-yard line. I'm four plays to get me to move the sticks every play until to get to the 35-yard line. Once I'm at the 35-yard line, and I give them so much credit because on that 4th and 1 there, when Mahomes ran that 20-yard play up the middle, that was a beautiful call there too, assignment football. But going down to that point, and once you're at the 35, they called time. They called a huddle, and it was just like I seen people shaking their head like, okay, you know what? If the defense gas and they give us a shot to put the dagger in, we're going for it. We're going for it here. Now we play 1 first down, 2nd down, 3rd down. If it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, you know what? Worst case scenario, let's kick the field goal and tie the game to play sudden death. But you gave Patrick Mahomes that optional playbook to say, wow, we're in the 35-yard line now. Just take what the defense gives you, move the sticks. But Phil, I see it both ways. A lot of people don't talk about that defense being gassed. I seen that. If that's me, I would have made that decision too. Like, damn, I know Patrick Mahomes
going for it on 4th down there.
Oh, he already said that. Even he said that in the game. He said we're going for it no matter what.
Even if he had the ball first,
of course,
45, 4th and 1, they're going for that, and that's what I'm saying. That's my strategy. It's like, if I get the ball first in overtime, I'm playing 4-down football. Like, I don't know why you're trying to tell me that you only play 4-down football in overtime if you get the ball second. I'm not punting. Like, I'm sorry, unless it's like on my side of the 50, which even if you get the ball second, you're not going for it on your side of the 50 on 4th down. You're not, right? Even with Patty Mahomes, you're not gonna do that. So like, and then if I get inside the 25, it's absolutely 4-down territory, because if I don't get the points, he has to go more than the touchback. You know what I'm saying? He has to go further than what he's comfortable and what they normally have a game plan to go for. You're putting them out of their comfort zone to start the drive. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying I'm taking the ball, man. Like, I got cojones, brother. That's just the way I look at it. I'm gonna
all right there, Dan Campbell. Okay, there, Dan Campbell. I feel you. Come on. Here's my question to you, Phil. Here's my other question to you.
All right, let's go.
I have 2 questions for you. Number 1, how do you feel about Kyle Shanahan saying he didn't know the rules? Where does that stand with you?
Yeah. I mean, I've been making fun of it this entire show. I can't believe. It blows my mind, man. It blows my mind. Blows my mind. The one thing that we focus on this week as coaches is like, okay, we're not supposed to technically have rushing the passer and 8U flag football, but the guys that set this up played in another league that had it last year, and so there's blah blah. And like the first thing we did this week is like, look, what's the rules? What are we playing? We made sure knowing going into our first game of the season what the rules are of the games that we're playing. Right? Like, okay. We know.
That's the perfect thing.
It's like, we know the rules. But that's our job as coaches, to be prepared. To put our players in a situation to not even have to think out there, just execute, right? That's on that level. Like, if you're the court, like you got to think, but like you just execute. We put you in situations that all be familiar, so you're not necessarily thinking, you're reacting and executing. That's what we want you to do.
That's a great point.
I don't know the rules. How are you going to know the rules? You're not supposed to be out there thinking about what the rules are at the end of overtime. You're supposed to be able to trust your coach is going to prep you. Don't let your coach be like, hey, you know what a good look is in overtime? Hey, guys, I don't really know what the rules are here, so let's just go out there and play some football and see what happens.
And Phil, I'll tell you what, that's a great thing you said. This happened. Yep, this happened this year. I always, as we talked before, Phil, a lot of people don't know, but I put my team in positions for next week, game situations where we might be up 40 points. It has no jurisdiction on the game, the outcome of the game. We won the game. But I call a timeout once in a while and say, hey, you know what? We're down 5 points. I need a touchdown. We have one timeout. We have to go 45 yards. Let's run this 2-minute drill here, and let's find out where we can do this. Phil, I tell you what, I think it was week 5 or 6, I put my team in a situation where I was like, we have one timeout, we need a score. We're at like our own 45-yard line, whatever. And up here, it stops on a plate, a first down, of course, but they only give you like 2 seconds to move the sticks or whatever. So that's not something. But I remember telling my kids in what we call preseason practice hell week, I told my quarterback, if there's an injury on the field, the ref have to stop the clock no matter what. At that point, sorry the player got hurt, but you need to run your ass over to me to get the next play. Phil, this kid was so smart. He knew the rules. We prepped him by just like what you said. No, your coach is going to put you in a position to win the game regardless. Fundamental football, all you got to do is execute. Phil, this kid threw the ball down right around the 6-yard line. The kid started getting up. He ran down there to the tight end and caught the ball, told him to sit down on the ground and hold his ankle. Okay? I'm looking at him. I'm like, I can't believe he just did this. The ref comes over, and I was like, I got an injured player on the field. And he's sitting there holding his ankle. Of course, he's about to jump up and run a marathon. The quarterback runs over and he's like, Coach, we got time for one play. What do you want me to run? I was like, let's run a jet sweep off the edge here, and let's go backside Trojan horse to the tight end on the opposite side here, wheel route. He goes, okay. The player gets off the field, walks off. We scored a touchdown. I walk over to my quarterback and say, you are a goddamn genius. Mm-hmm. And then the ref comes over to me and says, that was the smartest thing I've ever seen in my life. How'd you do that? I was like, it's called coaching in preseason. Put the players in position to know the rules. And even if they don't remember the rules, it's your job to manipulate the rules in their minds as we go. But The other thing is, I want to ask you this.
All right.
I don't know how to put this. Who's the scapegoat for this team this year for this loss? Because let's just run down here. Steve Wilkes, Anthony Lynn, Clint Kubiak, James Craig, Daryl Tapp, all gone. And Shanahan, is he the best available that they keep him? Why are all these players gone? Defense really didn't lose you this game, did it?
I mean, an injury. Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Maybe lost the game.
But that wasn't coaching.
No.
That wasn't coaching.
No. I mean, I don't know, man. There's some soft 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 6s on that defensive side of the ball against Kansas City in key moments in that game late when Kelsey and Rice were able to make plays.
True.
So, sure, it was a tight game, but you don't win on Lombardi for playing 3 quarters, right?
60 minutes plus, yeah.
Exactly, right? Defense kind of did lose the game. But so the offense.
I mean, I look at it both ways. Yeah, I look at it both ways, Phil. I understand when Greenlaw went out, a lot. We see this throughout the NFL, Phil. When you're up, you play a quarter, you play a zone, you play dime, you play nickel, you move your guys back. To me, drain the well, brother. Keep going what got you to the Super Bowl here. I get that. But then you look on the other side here too. As you said, don't use the abandoned word there, but you went away with your best player, CMC. You didn't find ways to get these players in open space, number one. So to me, that little leverage thing there hits both ways to me. But when you clean house like the San Francisco 49ers did here, as a player, I'm thinking is my goddamn job on the line here? Because coaching, they're cleaning house here. Which way do you go?
No, I think as a player, you feel great because now you know that, hey, they're blaming the guys that are telling us what to do, not us. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Clearly, they're putting the onus on the coaches. What I'm saying is that I'm going to tell you right now, this means that Shanahan has one season. He's on the hot seat now.
Great.
He's on. Look, John Lynch has done his job. All right.
100%.
That dude has built the most talented team in the league on both sides of the ball, bar none. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like, you could come at me with both. No, I'm sorry. I've been watching this game for a long time. That's the most talented team in the league per position on both sides of the ball. John Lynch built that as a GM. That dude has done his job. All right. So Shanahan now has the ability, I'm sure, the autonomy as the head coach. Here's the problem, though. You waited. You played the Super Bowl. Those jobs are
scarce.
Taken. Those candidates are taken. I will say, though, there is one person been very, very vocal about wanting to come back into the NFL. One person I think you and me as Cowboys fans were hoping would actually be the guy on the defensive side of the ball. One Mr. Rex Ryan. Okay. So perhaps now Kyle Shanahan is able to say, okay, fine. We're going to let Rex Ryan come in and pick his staff from what he can. And I wouldn't be surprised if some guys jump ship from other places and assist, their contracts are a little bit different and whatnot, allowed to interview and whatnot. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Rex Ryan is able to go cherry pick a staff and come in on the other side of the ball. But if you do that and you don't win the Super Bowl next year, Kyle Shanahan better be in the bread line right behind Steve Wilkes and all the other guys that got fired this year. That's all I'm saying. Like this, that to me, that's what it looks like. The writing on the wall is, all right, Sean, all right, Kyle. Well, we gave you all the players. Now you're going to sit here and say, well, I had to call a timeout for my defensive coordinator because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing because he didn't know what the heck he was doing on the other side of the ball. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Sure. Defensive scheming wasn't there. Like I said, Wilkes was relying on talent, not his scheming, not his brain. He was relying on the talent of the players out there on the field. So, okay, fine. Let's bring a guy that will take that talent and then put a scheme to it. But if you don't win with that guy, he's probably staying in. You're the guy. He might be the next one calling all the shots. He might be looking for an OC while he's got the HC job.
Gotcha. I'll reply back. We said first. I want to read Joe comment here. Greenlaw's injury was huge, change the game, and that goes exactly what you're classifying to give you a point there. The first half was great defense. Wilkes called a great game there, playing scheme football. But after Greenlaw went down, it was this. Well, we lost a piece here. We have that piece, but we can't finish the puzzle. Bring in another guy here, of course. So it showed a different look where he couldn't put players in position where 11 on 11 became. Well, basically 7 on 11 is what it really looked like because there was no scheme involved in it. You take away one player as a piece, you can't slice the puzzle is what it looked like to me. But the other thing is with Wilkes, there was 2 names involved that I heard. One exactly was Rex Ryan. I don't know what his contract is, Phil, with, CBS or whatever he's there, being like a analyst there. But the other name was, which kind of opened my eyes a little bit. He's been out of the game for a long time. Wade Phillips. This guy's defense plays up front, on the ball, fast football, great defenses. They even talked about him coming back because with the talent they have to utilize this. But I was like, I don't even know if he can get up in the morning and make it to the field, honestly.
I'm not sure what his health is like.
That's what I mean.
But I'm sitting here chuckling because you want to talk about ultimate scapegoats. I've been clapping a little bit during the show, right? Who does this remind you of?
Oh, please don't take me there, Phil. Don't take me there.
Guess who lost their job instead of this guy because of injury to the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, you're right.
He was the only reason that they made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Mr. Wade Phillips, sacrificial lamb of the Dallas Cowboys because the clapper couldn't get his offense to do what they needed to do.
Yes.
And an injured defense gave up the booty in the playoffs. So guess what?
True.
And also a catch that wasn't a catch, but that's not, whatever. But hey, let's talk about sacrificial lamb. I don't know. And again, I don't know, but I'm a Wade Phillips guy. I've always been a Phillips family fan, just like the Ryans and the Phillips. Got Bum Phillips, Wade Phillips, Buddy Ryan, Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan. I don't think you go wrong with that family tree of defensive minds. So
Agree.
if he's healthy and he can come out there or at least sit up in a booth and have a really good assistant that can like be his proxy on the sideline, and there be like, his little minion, I think Wade Phillips would be a fine fit there. He's got the talent, and they've got the players that can play in his scheme. I think either one of those guys would be amazing. But again,
Health.
I agree. I don't. They put the comment up and came down, but Shanahan is to me. I still think if you're the head coach and you're there, and you don't win, your fault. You're the captain.
Agree.
Right? You're the captain now. You don't win, it's on you. So, like I said, if you're gonna go clean house like that, especially on the other side of the ball, and clearly say it wasn't me, it was these guys.
Yeah, I think we had a comment on another show where Eileen put it up. Shanahan pulled a Shaggy. It wasn't me, basically. Pretty much. Yep. But exactly. I want to say one thing. You talk about family trees here, the Ryan, tree, of course, but. And then again, sometimes it doesn't really pan out. You look at the Shanahan tree, Daddy Shanahan versus you just got attacked by a cat there.
She's trying to get out. I'm like,
gotcha. But you look at the
wife to come let her out.
You look at those family trees of the Shanahan tree. Master of the zone offense, the zone run offense. We talked about Terrell Davis. Who was Terrell Davis? Nobody until Gary Kubiak and Shanahan put the zone block in the scheme. What if Daddy Shanahan was running this program? CMC would have probably got the ball 30 times that game. Especially late, sometimes it doesn't work out there. The family tree is not the best, but
that was the storyline I was cheering for, the reunion, of McCaffrey and Shanahan to go back there and run it back like their dads did. As much as the cool storyline was for KC, to me, that was the compelling storyline. That's why I was running. And, we talked about this. I do not like the 49ers at all.
Me either.
Dude, I grew up in the Steve Young era. Like I like Joe Montana because he was basically already playing for Kansas City by the time I really cared about football.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was always cool. Joe Cool for sure. Like that dude absolutely cool as a cucumber. To this day, cool as a cucumber. Hit it. I don't know if you saw him on Radio Row, which we didn't talk a lot about that, but Radio Row is fantastic this year. If you're as a broadcaster, they're letting podcasters on the field on Radio Row now. They're like really changing the way they're approaching it as a league. So that gives a little ham and egger like me a little bit of hope. Guy like Pat McAfee had his entire studio right there on Studio Row. Had Joe Montana on his show.
Wow.
Like, bro, Pat Mahomes was just on his show. Like that guy gives me so much hope as a tiny little podcaster. But I mean, I don't like the Niners. But I was rooting for them because,
we both took them this year, Phil.
Yeah, I felt for it.
Phil, two topics I want to talk about. The word dynasty comes involved in this. So that's one of the last topics I want to talk to you about. But for the first 2 to 3 quarters of the game, first to third here, there was no clear evidence of an MVP. But at fourth quarter, my God, it's called MVP, Mr. Patrick Mahomes. This kid, I don't want to say kid, I want to say a grown-ass man right in front of us here. Coming from Texas Tech. Nobody thought this kid was going to be good, who they came back in the first round to grab him. Who is this kid, Texas Tech? Cliff Kingsbury offense, throw the ball, run the ball, get rid of it. He's not going to pan out in the NFL. But, Phil, can we talk now? Let's go 3 or 4 years in the future. 2 questions. Where does he stand in top 5 quarterbacks all time in your eyes right now if he called it quits? Number 2, how many Super Bowls will he win by it's all said and done? Do you think?
This is like my least favorite part of doing this.
I know.
Projecting isn't like Thanks, bud.
Oh, you brought me one. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
My special bartender tonight. No, this is like, aside from like projecting scores of my teams, this is like the thing I hate doing the most, right? Hypothetical shit. But if you hung it up right now, I still think you got to put him in the top 5 all time.
Okay.
I still think, because he just won back-to-back Super Bowls. This is what, his third, right? And he's been to the AFC Championship every single year as a starter.
6 years, correct?
Yes. If something happened right now and he was forced to pull an Andrew Luck and retire out of nowhere way before he really had to, I would have to put him like probably number 5.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Just because of the numbers and you would have to project a little bit because it would have to be some kind of a fluke or something that took him away from the game because of who he is and how he loves it. You know what I mean? Like it would have to be a fluke thing. So then you would have to somehow grade him with a bit of a projection of what could have been. So carrying into what do I think he'll have when it's all said and done? The problem is it's a team game, man. It's a team game. So as good as he is, we've never talked about this. Maybe we should do a little bit of off-season stuff, but to get to know me as a fan. But I put Peyton as my number 1 GOAT. Peyton's the GOAT to me.
Wow.
Yeah. Because Super Bowls are a team achievement. Lombardi is a team trophy. Period. I'm a hockey fan, man. First and foremost, you see my wall. We talked about a lot. A Stanley Cup is not won by one person, or else, Connor McJesus would have a cup every single year he's played the game, right? If it was won by one person, McDavid would have all the cups, right? So it's not one person. Brady's the GOAT as far as achievements, accomplishments, Super Bowls, consistency. I don't know that another guy will ever, be like that in a franchise. Patty Mahomes is close, but again, it's all about how long does Andy Reid stay around? What happens with Kelsey? Maybe there's a big shakeup in the offseason. Maybe they don't really like this guy. Maybe there's an opportunity to make a trade or something like that and get some other. I don't know because this team although their wide receivers are young and showed promise in Kansas City, they are still thin on the offensive side of the ball. And with Patty Mahomes as a quarterback, they had a couple other proven weapons or 4 or 5 year vets instead of 2 or second, third year rookies or there's a chance for this team to get better by addition by subtraction, right? Sometimes that happens. So who knows what happens? It depends. Maybe Kelsey gets pissed off and doesn't want to play second fiddle. So maybe he starts feeling like, hey, I'm tired of the freaking, State Farm commercials. My homie. And no, I'm the guy. Why can't he change his name? Maybe that's a little bit of real life. It's not just a jab. Maybe in real life, he's like, why can't this guy be my homeboy? Why can't he be Robin and I'm Batman? Why do I have to be the Robin? Maybe if he goes somewhere else, maybe to Duval, maybe down there he is a captain, and then Sunshine is his Batman, his Robin. Who knows? Wow. But I'm just saying, that's why I hate doing this.
Yeah.
But that being said, he's got 3. If that guy doesn't retire with 7, something's wrong. I would say that. I put the over at 7 for him.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I don't, even during the preseason, Dave and I on the Cowboys show, we don't like to make what should have, could have this year. I don't like to do that. I don't like to do that.
I'm not a prognosticator.
Yeah, I don't like to do that. But I like what you said there. It's all about a team game here, of course. And to me, it's Andy Reid. It all depends on how long Andy Reid stays there with that system. Because you look at, who would have thought you lost Tyreek last year? You bring in, these players here. It's filling the system is schematically system under Andy Reid. Plug and play is what they have. It's
a Belichick for sure.
Thank you. Exactly. That's what word I was going to use, Belichick, because we know Belichick. You have to fit a certain mold to play in New England under Belichick. That's the way Andy Reid has done this team here. But I like how you said that Lombardis are how we basically judge people in the media's eyes. I don't. My favorite player, Phil, is Peyton Manning. I grew up in Indiana, lived there. Peyton Manning's he is the offensive coordinator of a team when you don't need one. I love watching him. 2 other names that I like to talk about, that Dan Marino, Dan Fouts, arguably one of the best quarterbacks ever to play the game. Without rings, we don't talk about him, number 1, But the other thing is I want to talk about before we end the show here, before we get into our sponsors real quick, is can we talk about that word dynasty? How can we not?
What's to talk about? It's official in my book.
Has to be, right?
Yeah. We already won 6 straight AFC championships.
Exactly.
I mean, look, okay, people, okay, and this is why, if you want to really get into it, excuse me, but you look right over my shoulder, that right there is a hockey team the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have been to the Eastern Conference Finals 9 times since 2011. They've been in 5 Stanley Cup Finals, won 2, and went to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals. They're saying still, man, not quite a dynasty because you didn't win 3 and 4 years. I think that's insanity when you talk about consistency, especially in the NHL and what the level of achievement that team's been able to accomplish because of the salary cap. You don't have to deal with that shit in the NHL. You pay a luxury tax, blah, 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 but you can spend what you want to spend in the NFL, right? Honest, right? So this is a dynasty. They won 3 and 4. Six continuous championships in their conference, and they won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. And there's no real reason, because we saw Josh Allen be Josh Allen. We saw Lamar Jackson be Lamar Jackson. Okay, maybe Joe Cool 2.0 comes back off of his wrist injury. He's the only person I see that challenges Pat Mahomes for the crown in the AFC next year. I'm sorry, I don't think Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have it. I don't think Buffalo has it. They didn't really make any moves. Baltimore didn't really make any moves. They're just going to try and run it back, staff wise, whatever. Like I think that Kansas or Cincinnati is the only team that has anything for Kansas City in the AFC. So who's to say that they're not the odds-on favorite now to go 3 in a row after winning 3 out of. Come on, it has to be a dynasty now, according to the classical definition of what the Cowboys were a dynasty, right?
Yeah,
So,
Patriots. Yeah,
3 out of 4 Patriots. That's what considered them the dynasty. It wasn't how many they won; it's that they won so many in a certain amount of time.
Agree. I like exactly what you said there. I agree 100%. I think they have to be a dynasty. When you go to 6 straight AFC championships, regardless of how many you've won, 3 out of 3, 50%, not too damn shabby. Number one, and to me, half the teams in the NFL would take that. Hell, being a Cowboys fan, I take 1 just to get to the NFC championship right now. To me, being there 6 straight times is something highly remarkable, But the last thing I want to ask you, Phil, is what does the Kansas City Chiefs need for next year? What one piece do you go out and get if this team stays intact and run it back one more year? What one piece could actually put them over the top and say, "Damn, we reloaded"? As you said, Jimmy, Burrow's out there. If he comes back with that hand injury, Lamar Jackson, don't even get me started with that cat. I don't believe in anything he does. Number one, never have exactly. Even from Louisville, I never thought about it.
Fraud.
Yeah, even coming from Louisville, the way he played there was just. You want to beat me with your legs, no problem. When you want to beat me with your arms, then you're not going to beat me. But what one piece could the Chiefs get in this draft this year? What one piece would solidify them saying, arguably, they are a minus next year to win the Super Bowl as betting odds?
Yeah. To me, for this team, it continues to still be the one weakness that I see is the interior offensive line.
Ooh,
they need some depth, and they need. I think in free agency, they need to try and figure out a way to bring in a veteran, and then also in the draft, find some depth at early on there. I'm not. Combine's coming up in a couple of weeks. That's a different thing. We'll start getting into those ideas, free agency and all that. But I think that's what they need. They need. If even in that game in the Super Bowl, they could have got to him more. I think if they had better scheming. And a better plan. I don't want to go back and beat a dead horse. If there was better scheming and a plan on the defensive side of the ball, they could have got to Patty Moore. But they got to him. There's ability to get to him. And when the Bucs beat them, we saw that a couple injuries, they don't have the depth either. Right? They still don't have the depth. So if somebody goes down, it can be exploited. So, I'm not going to bring up a guy that actually knows offensively how to beat a Kansas City Chiefs, Bruce Arians. Anyways, sorry, but no, that to me, the offensive line, interior especially, is where they could really key in the offseason and get some more consistency, get a little more gritty, and that would also help out their run game because I think Pacheco is a guy that can run between the tackles if you have someone that could block for him there, and that's what they need. They need some more up the middle offense to help out those young wide receivers and Kelsey not be such a roid rager.
I agree. I think if I could pick one piece for the Kansas City offense or defense here, I'm going to go interior lineman here. I think you have to get that because to me, a lot of people say wide receiver, running back. I agree with that to a certain point, but this system with the Kansas City Chiefs is built differently. We lose Tyreek Hill. We bring in puzzle pieces to fit the mold of the team. This goes back to the Brady days. You bring in these wide receivers, Walker, Amendola. These guys, not name brand people, but it fits the scheme of the system here for your quarterback. So I want to go offensive line number one. I think you get a starter, in free agency. The Bears just cut an all-pro offensive lineman today. He's pennies on the dollar right now. I think that's a move that they can make. Draft picks, build a depth. I think this year they get at least 2 offensive linemen for not plug and play, but depth rotation. So I think we go there, of course. But Phil, you know what? That brings up a great point. We talk about draft picks here. You're more than welcome to hop on the show. In 2 weeks on February 29th, myself and Dan will be talking NFC North this week. We're going to go through every team as we talk about draft needs, team needs, trades, roster, division rankings. So, Phil, if you're open to that, hop on the show with us. We like to talk in depth. We're going to go every division throughout the NFL up until the draft point. Then we're going to do a live draft too. So we'd love to have you on there too. But, Phil, before we get out of here, man, there's some coffee out there, man, we need to talk about.
Oh, it's the best coffee. It's the only coffee. It's the cult coffee. It's Monkey Cult Coffee. If you haven't joined the cult yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is the best coffee out there on the market. If you're really into the artisan flavored coffees, these beans are hand selected by the founder himself, lovingly selected flavors, multiple rounds of testing. I can't go in depth enough about the amount of loving passion that's gone into this brand. And it's all because it's for a good cause. The National Pediatric Cancer Foundation gets a donation every time you buy a bag of coffee. They have a new promotion. If you buy 3 bags, you get $6 off. Or $3 off, sorry. And then they also have a new barrel-aged honey. Man, that's what I'm on right now. So, hey, that bourbon chocolate chip, it's amazing. It's now available on Amazon too. Go out there. You can put a review, and that'll help them out too. Promo code OOTB Sports for out of the box. Promo code #Stache10. That gets you 10% off your entire order. The evolution of flavor-infused coffee. Join the cult. Monkey Cult Coffee.
Definitely. If you're out there, you need any legal advice, please call 1-800-HURT-123. Attorney Jason Fine, Attorney Big Al. Motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workman's comp, personal injury claims. We have you covered. We have the tri-state area covered here. First in New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 3 Greensward Lane. Also, Philadelphia, 1628 JFK Boulevard. My neck of the woods, Pittsburgh, PA, 500 Grant Street. Make sure you reach out to Jason Fine, 1-800-HURT-123. The live operator gets your call, takes your case. Mention Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. It's not 50%. It's not 45. Let's go lower. It's not 40. It's not 35. It is 33.33%. Guaranteed rate. No recovery, no fee. Where else are you going to get that? Out of the Box family here. Proud sponsor of Jason Fine, my boss exclusively. So make sure you reach out to them. We'll take care of you. Get the family discount, 33 and 30%. Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Make sure you say that to Jason Fine. 1-800-HURT-123 for all your legal advice. And guys, please reach out to monkeycoldcoffee.com. Doesn't matter what sponsorship you use out there. Please use promo code Stache10. Out of the Box Sports out there. We're sponsored by Matt. Great guy. Donates money to the National Pediatric Foundation. So goes to a great thing. But Phil, I got to ask you, what's your favorite brand of coffee that they have there?
Oh, it's still the bourbon chocolate chip.
Thank you. I agree.
It's the OG. It's the bourbon chocolate chip. I mean, it's my flavor palette. It's how Matt and I met. It was at a bourbon meetup. He knows, I know. That's what we love. But that's not to be said that I'm a little bit of a suicide fountain kid at heart, right? Back when you used to be able to make your own soda, you just go get a little bit when mom wasn't watching. I kind of like to mix my coffee flavors. And if you're feeling a little froggy, you put some of that toasted coconut rum and some of that bourbon chocolate chip together. Now you got yourself a cup of Mounds. Or almond joy. Well, yeah, we're talking about like that kind of Mound situation. It's good. It's still got a little bit of like that nuttiness too, But you got that chocolate, you got the coconut, you got the bourbon. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Then all you need from that is once you're guzzling that down is a Paradise rum cake. Is I'm correct?
Oh man, maybe even put a little bit of that barrel-aged honey in there instead of a little bit of that sugar. If you like a little sweetness every once in a while. I take it black. But hey, that's just me.
Oh, hey, listen, we gave you all the advice out there. Now it's time for you to do it. Make sure you go to monkeycoldcoffee.com. Hit that hit that out there. Get the swag, get the coffee, get it all out there. Whatever
Yeah.
promo code you use, we appreciate it. It goes to a great foundation. So
order all the time and just swap. One
there you
time
go.
OOTB, one time #Stache in, one time, come on. And by the way, the season for giving is all the time. So if you know somebody who loves coffee and they haven't experienced Monkey Cold Coffee and you have, it's a great gift. It's a great gift because they also have gift cards as well. So hey, now that we've sat here and pumped the tires for Matt and everything he does and everything that they do over there, what are you waiting for?
Exactly. Time's now. All it takes is click it, order it, enjoy it, and love it, and reorder it. That's all we're going to say. Right. But hey, Phil, I appreciate you hopping on this week. And listen, real quick, if I want to shout out, we talked about it off camera. I want to give you my prayers and condolences, to a great healing for your father out there. Got some unfortunate news. So, brother, you already know you're part of the Out of the Box family. You already know that. From myself speaking personally, you're like my brother, man, and I wish you well. And you are your father, your family, yourself are all my prayers, man.
Oh, man, I really appreciate you, man. He's an old salty dog. He'll pull through. I'm an old salty dog myself. I'll get the family through. But hey, next time you see me, I'll probably actually streaming from my mom's basement out in Denver. So it'll be a full circle moment.
As long as you don't pull one of those, Mom, I need a sandwich. I don't want to hear that, Phil.
Mom, meatloaf, Mom. Except for my mom, it'll be lasagna because that's her damn dish.
Did you want me to fly out with you? Did you want me to fly out with you? Because I love a good lasagna, brother.
Listen. You'll never go home when you have my mom. If I could talk about it real quick, because we brought up my pops. When he was in the Navy, he would go stand, that they had duty like every 10 days or whatever the rotation was. And like once a month on his duty, my mom would make a pan of lasagna. Well, my mom's lasagna in like a 13 by 9 square. It was like a 35-pound lasagna. That's how much cheese and layers and it was like she learned the recipe from this little Sicilian lady that adopted us when we were stationed up in Salem. But then she like made it her own and kind of Americanized a little bit. There's a little bit more meats and stuff than maybe but it was a thing that my dad would be on duty. And then all the other guys in his section would want to stand duty with him because they knew that once a month, Maro's wife would be sending in a pan of lasagna. And if you weren't on duty, it didn't last. Like it didn't last past, the next rotation. So yeah, that's the epic level of my mom's lasagna. So when you have it once, man, you're hooked for life. Like I don't recommend it to most people because if you can't have it all the time, you're never going to want lasagna again. You can't have my mom's lasagna, So
we need to get you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your thoughts and prayers. I'll be flying out on a red eye on Sunday. I'll probably be out in Denver for about a month or so, helping my family through this whole situation. But I appreciate your support. You've definitely made me feel like family. I'm not going anywhere. Like I said, I'm taking all my gear. I fly Southwest, so they're going to fly my shit out there for free. Gotcha. And it's going to be bubble wrapped and duct taped, and it's going to be down in that basement. I'll be ready to go. So once I get my father and his mom settled in, I'll be back. So I appreciate it,
man. We'll take your time, man. Family first is all we were about out of the box here. Sports are secondary, and it's all family first. Of course, we all believe that. We all testify about it. And you have a family behind you here out of the box, and all the viewers, feel the same way. We always reach out to each other, help each other out. So prayers, man, out to you. You got it. The candle will be lit Saturday when I go to a 5 o'clock vigil. So my thoughts are there, of course. But brother, how about we get some parting words before we get out of here, man? What's your final words?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for bringing me in and doing this with me for the last few weeks. It's been fantastic.
Definitely.
Got me back into a rhythm that I kind of fell out of for a while. I really appreciate that. It's been one hell of a season. The Bake Show was on full display. Hopes are high down here in Tampa Bay. Sorry about Niners. It wasn't your day. Kansas City Chiefs. What can you say? Patty Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Royd raging again. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But next year, I guess I'll go for number 3.
Great final thoughts, man. Phil, first I want to say, thank you for joining me, giving me the opportunity to work with you. You opened my eyes to many things and won't be the first. It's certainly not going to be the last, but we got big things entailed here for you and I coming up for the season here, of course, your own things as well. So I want to say thank you. And this season was incredible. This NFL season, if you're a fan of the game, you enjoyed some good football from week 1 to all the way to the Super Bowl. Just enjoy that. You'd be blessed to watch some of these players. A lot of people talk about the GOAT, Tom Brady. You don't like him. You don't love him. Respect them, man. Respect them, number one. Don't like Patty Mahomes. Don't like Kelsey. Respect what you've seen, man. They're showing you something that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when you're sitting there with your grandkids, like, who was this guy? Let me tell you, son, he was this kind of a player. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Be blessed that you're seeing these type players play football week 1 to the Super Bowl. So thank you, NFL season, for a great, and also thank you for Tay for bringing the women to the NFL. I don't like it in certain ways, but I tell you what, it's opening the NFL to be what it is in the world today. Exactly, 100%. Exactly. Well, brother, listen, man, you ready to get out of here?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard to say goodbye. Boy Smith said it. Boy Smith said it best. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
It is. I wish we had that's the song we could play here, brother. But
maybe I'll invest some money in some license.
As long as exactly. We get license on that. Next thing you know, we'll be off. We'll be off next week. What happened to them? Oh, yeah, hard to say goodbye. They're gone.
Yeah. They got their asses fired off YouTube.
Exactly.
But, hey, Phil, let's wrap it up, man.
Definitely.
Go ahead. You do it. It's your show.
All right, brother. I appreciate you hopping. All the viewers out there, thanks for chiming in. We'll be back in a couple weeks once Phil gets settled in, of course. So we'll see you then. Of course, my name is Paul Spencer. That is Phil Haney. The Stache, of course. Please check him out. Guys, please, you know what? If you have family members out there, as we all do, call them, hug them, because you never know when something could go a little bit, disarray there. Make sure you reach out to someone, especially someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Reach out to them, because don't judge a book by the outside cover. You don't know what they're going on in real life. So reach out to them, because you never know when time could come, and family first. So my name is Paul Spencer. That is Phil. We'll see you guys later. Have a great night.
Easy.